On this episode of the Construction Dorks, we're going to talk about the social side of construction tech, and we managed to pull ourselves away from our schedule long enough to actually get together with other humans. It was an amazing conversation. It went all over the place like always, so please sit back and enjoy.
And we're live, episode 101. It's a dorkiversary, and it's been a little bit of a hiatus. So it's get back on and start pedaling, start riding the horse again, whatever it is you want to call it. We're back. We're here. Everybody's got fun stuff going on. Jonathan Marsh, just because you're the closest to me on here. What you drinking? What you doing? What's happening?
I haven't had a drink in a bit, like in a hot minute, so I actually Travis is like, you can have a drink. I'm like, I kind of like a drink, and there was nothing in the house. And my wife was nice enough to give me her Centauri Harmony. So I got a little bit of Harmony, and very, very happy with the wife for granting me some Harmony this evening. How about you, Jeff? What are you drinking?
I'm gonna go to Trent first. By the way, it's been so long that we've done this. We haven't had a chance to just say stellar season there, buddy.
Yes.
That hat goes a long way, my friend.
You
season.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
Greatest season in college football history.
Yeah. They couldn't have done it without me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Mendoza was like, I'd like to thank my parents. I'd like to thank a few others. And then, by the way, Trent, thank you.
Yeah. My thank you present was season tickets that tripled in price. So that was
What did you say? We'll get into this later, but they get you on the comeback, buddy.
They do.
I mean, you kind of have two options. You either have a football team who's really, really bad and you can get really cheap season tickets to go tailgate with friends, or you can spend a lot of money to go watch a football team that wins. I guess like there's no real in between, I guess. So
except that first season, right? Those tickets were still
Well, that was probably the best year. But yeah, we've gone from the team of season tickets that were like next to nothing, just to go tailgate and have fun, to now being like one of the hot commodity season tickets on the market. So yeah, very strange turn of events this year. But hey, in a tumultuous world where nobody knows what the F is going on at any time, that was a fun part of the year. So
that's awesome. What are you drinking? You got a drink this evening, or are you just riding along?
My 2023 MEP Innovation Conference Yeti with some high quality H2O in it.
There
we go. Same year. That's a good year. All right.
Wait. If we're doing it, 2024. Right there.
Oh, that's a bad year. 23 was
it's a fine vintage.
It is. The 23 was a much better vintage.
That was before the letters AI took over every possible sentence of the. Yeah.
All right, Travis. What about you, my man?
Well, I have a bottle. I think I've had this before, even on the show. The Smooth Ambler, the Contradiction Bourbon. Yeah. It's a nice little blended whiskey. Pretty good one. Not too bad. Wrapped up softball season tonight, and it, as seasons do, it ended, and only one team gets to win the last game, and it wasn't us. We didn't even
That's a bittersweet moment, though, right?
Yeah.
It's like you want to win, but you kind of want to go home.
Well, yeah. After starting practices even all the way back to November, if you kind of count hitting sessions and stuff, and 35-ish games. Yeah, but it is bittersweet. Yeah, you never want to lose that your last game of the season. That kind of sucks. And high school's a little different for me than coaching the travel team, because high schools we've got seniors, right? So this year we only had one senior, so it was like, that was her last game. This last game she's going to play. She's not going to go on and play in college or anything like that. So you said just bittersweet. You got those moments.
Yeah, it's crazy, those lasts, right, for the seniors. I like this. What is the Travis in the background there? Doing some woodshop work?
That's his name.
Yes, that's my Christmas present from my boss, Linda. And you'll notice
corn.
Corn. So she likes to
Corn.
make fun of me because I live next to a cornfield. So she had to make sure corn was a part of it.
I take it she is not from rural Illinois.
No, she's from San Diego. I don't think they even have corn.
Oh, it's very close to
Yeah,
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yes.
discovered by the Germans. Yes.
Agree to disagree. All right. Well, that leaves me,
That leaves
and
you.
I'm gonna have a little fun and open something special.
Nice.
I need your
Just-
budget.
Just for no, this was bought at a perfect time, and has been waiting for this week. My son graduates high school this week. My pops is headed out. It's his birthday today. It's the Dorkiversary today. It's also my 1 year at my job day. So I felt like today was the day to open it. Pops will be up here tomorrow in the Valley, and son graduates on Friday-ish, Saturday, depending on how you look at it. So I'm
man.
I'm
Congratulations
stoked.
to him.
Yeah. Congratulations. We made it this far.
This far.
And to anybody in Boston, watch yourself next year. Wentworth, here we come. So,
Oh boy.
yeah.
boy.
Right on.
Yeah. Elwell, that shout outs to you, buddy. I've already talked to him about it. So, Wentworth Institute of Technology also has a construction management. So,
There you go.
He might have
never
an
know.
internship and job lined up already then, huh? So
well, he's already yelling at me like, stop. I want to do my own thing. And I'm like, yeah, I want you to work. And I know Elwell will make you work.
Wait,
Yes.
you actually have a kid that wants to do their own thing, and wait, holy crap! You should be proud.
Yeah, I am a little bit. I mean, we're in mountains of Colorado, man. And he's going to Boston, and I took him to Boston in January in the middle of a cold snap to make sure he wanted to go there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Right.
he still
Just so you know.
signed the intent letter.
This is going to be how like 4 months of the year are, right?
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, kid, you're used to snow. This is snow and really cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not nearly the same type of snow what you're used to. Not even.
Yeah,
Not
and
even
he's gonna
close.
love that the opening came. And hey, to RFI Outfitters, thank you. You're all getting BIM slapped tonight. I had to give him credit. He handed this at AEC TechCon. I ran into the guy he's got a BIM consulting, but also a group that makes T-shirts and other swag. RFI Outfitters, and he was like, "Wait, you're from that? I got to give you that shirt." So I had to give him a shout out for getting BIM slapped.
I like it.
Right on. How
So-
did you like that one, man?
What?
The summit.
AC TechCon, it's
Yeah.
really good. I have to give it to it. It's St. Louis. It's a hot market right now. A diverse group of people. It's one of those places where you can find everything from a mom and pop, still on paper contractor, all the way to McCarthy's there and others. So,
Yeah.
a really good group of people. And I have to say the organizing committee has done a really good job of consistently refreshing the content, changing over the committee, and moving it forward. So
Good.
I would say to anybody, go for it. It's a good
Right
one.
on.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's at a nice time. Like a great time to be in St. Louis too. I have to say, like the weather was kind of nice. And so
Who
Gotta
puts
love
that one
that.
on? Is that just its own deal? Or is it something?
it's in conjunction with the AGC of Missouri, but it's
Okay.
a little bigger than that. And there's a steering committee that's rotated over the years of the usual suspects that you guys would know, Alex Belkoffer and others. So, really cool. Cause it's usually two locals
Mhm.
that are pretty active that take over the committee for, as the chairs for each
Sure,
year and do
sure.
a lot of the deciding of what's going to go on.
Yeah, cool.
Well, that's great.
So, what y'all want to talk about?
You guys know that I do I do consulting, but I'm also working on an app. So I end up with a lot of phone calls with people that are just an intro call. And the reality is like during the call, I kind of decide whether or not does it make sense for me to work with you, or is there other things you should do? And what I realized is when we were building like our companies, like Travis, when you were building your company, Trent, when you were sort of building, we had a pretty tight community of people that we were using to answer all our questions. Like so many of the questions that I answer on the telephone as a consultant are just stuff that like was table stakes for being a part of ExtraCAD or being in one of the dork chats or something like that. And I'm wondering, like I think that we're at the dork anniversary, so our show's been on for 6 years, and now we didn't do one this year, but that's totally in keeping with our theme of just kind of doing it whenever we have a chance. But I was thinking, we came together after COVID, and we did this because people needed to connect in order to move the industry forward, because it just doesn't work if we're all sitting on a little island. And I realized pretty quickly thinking about that almost every bit of success that I've had in my career, and even a lot of the successes in my personal life, came out of sort of community and building connections within all of within construction. And I don't know, I think that, when COVID was there, everybody's like, oh yeah, we have to do it because it's good for us because we're COVID and we're stuck in the house all day. And then after COVID, we decided not to go back to the office, but we stopped dropping. We sort of dropped like the community piece a little bit. And I have a bunch of employees that I've met once or twice in person, and it's really tough for them, for that entire generation, to have mentoring, because when I was working, I had 5 to 6 people right next to me. I had foremen on a daily basis talking to me. I had owners on a daily basis talking to me personally, one to one. And we have a ton of people right now, especially in technology. I would say like the bulk of them are in technology, that are sitting at home in an office by themselves and have a limited community. And I really feel like, I don't know, I feel like that community was just such a vital part of my life that I was kind of psyched to get online again and just talk about sort of building those. I just got invited to one. But I had a client, we had a brief call, and like he shoots me a little email and he's like, oh, by the way, this is my Discord community. There's like 400 of us, and I'm like, cool, I'll go talk to you guys. And, I don't know. I feel like the real positive piece of the Construction Dorks was the dorkiness of it. I saw pictures from AEC, and I saw a lot of fun there. And I'm like, I think that's the part that I've missed since COVID kind of dropped off, is the actual fun part. Like I'm still getting all the work done, but like the fun part I think has kind of dropped away. So I wanted to like what are some of the communities? Because Jeff, you just pointed out like that event that you were at was because of Alex and some other people, and we've talked to all those people.
Yep.
So like there's like a little dork community that really is kind of driving collaboration and getting people together rather than just collaborating around buildings. So
I would agree with you.
What was sort of the pinnacle of that for you this year? What was the place that you thought was the community place for this year?
So it's funny because when you were asking me, and the two names are so close, so we get in this all the time, right? So AEC Tech Con is in St. Louis, but the AEC Integration Summit, which is I think the one you're talking about, where you saw the videos of us.
I saw both because there were posts on both.
Yeah, doing Legos and the anti-keynote. It's where the anti-keynote, the anti-everything came from, which is really just, it's kind of a continuation. It was the Dorkathon, right? Like right. That's where the dorks even got some of their name from. The Dorkathon was that, Travis, is what it was that inner community kind of expressing that we knew we existed and that we wanted our place. And the interesting thing is that it morphed into something more. But I think at its core and its heart, like it was always take your cap off. We say that now, like take your stripes off when you come in, except your persona if you're representing a GC or a trade or whatever in a work breakdown session where you're working on things. But truly, there's that, to me, that AEC Integration Summit is the core of the community. And I warn everybody that comes in, like, at the heart of construction technology, it's a pretty small group at the heart of it. And I do agree with you, Jonathan. There are far too many people working remote in companies with no mentorship, no, I don't want to call it accountability when it sounds wrong that there's accountability, but accountability is really important in life, and there isn't any in a lot of cases. And community is important. Mental health's important. And a lot of that comes from like, I mean, how many people do you think we have right now that don't think they're wrong when honestly they're wrong? Like I know I'm wrong because I sit down with the three of you on a regular and learn that I'm wrong, right? Like somebody has to tell you. I do that joke on stage all the time. Like, what does it feel like to be wrong? It feels like being right until somebody fucking tells you you're wrong and you go, oh, I'm wrong, right? It feels the same way until somebody tells you, and you have to look that thought process or whatever it is in the face and rethink it. So I'm with you when you said you wanted to talk about community, and I think this craziness of the 2-letter word that's now a 4-letter word in our world is driving more of it, because we're like, oh, we're not going to do these mundane things. You mean like communicate?
Yeah, and if you're talking to the AI like it's a community, I mean, like there's some issues there, man. You don't want
Well,
to.
and it's made to be that way, right? It's made to be engaging and super helpful and super talkative and super friendly. So it's easy to get sucked in. Um, I want to go back to the Dorkathon comment though, because I think that you're right. That's where the Dorkathon or the AC Summit kind of came from, but it also came from the PDF standards and the Construction Progress
Yep.
Coalition and everything spun out of that because there is I think there still is a good community of people out there that I think that we were talking a lot at the early stages about just integration and interoperability between the different technology platforms. And during the summit, especially the very first one, the Dorkathon, we kind of really realized that the problems were not the technology, right? That it's pretty easy,
Yep.
relatively easy for software platforms to talk to software platforms. It's a cultural issue, it's a contracting issue, it's a risk issue, and everything like that. And I think that's where that John, like that's where you get your passion about. Is like even if not always the right people that have the right hats on or that can pull the right levers are in the room, you're talking about the problems and working through different scenarios with people with different personas with the idea that there's going to be some sort of report back out to the larger community that say these are the things that we're highlighting that could be issues in the way we're currently doing business. And even if we bring in the AI, like it's still not going to kind of solve the way we do some of our contracting processes. And I think that's why that event is so unique. We've sent some people from SMACTA. We've had Nathan and his group work on a particular problem for us, and it's a different way of attacking like a research project, right? Because you're actually it's a true working sessions. I think that there are maybe 3 kind of planned sessions through the whole day and a half, and the rest of the time you're broken up in your groups and you're whiteboarding ideas. So it's pretty unique. Um, I always go back though when people ask me what's the best um, event, I always say MEP Innovations. It's still for me, it's the best one. We still get a lot of the people I think that are still pretty passionate about it. This year in Austin, we had Snowmageddon 2 or 3 or whatever it was for Texas, and we were planning on over 800 people, and we still got just shy of 700. I think that kind of speaks to the community, right? There was a lot of people that were on their 3rd, 4th, or 5th rebooking just to make it. And I think that speaks to something.
How many text messages did you get asking if it was canceled?
Oh, God, too many, too many. A lot of phone calls, a lot of working with speakers. A lot of you, I mean, you guys too. We really appreciate the way you guys kind of. The speaker was out. They're like, this group here and a bunch of others are like, hey, I've got some presentations in the bank. Like, let's fill the time. Hey, that topic there, I can talk about that. So, I think that does speak to the community. And I agree, John, and I'm kind of on a rant now, so hopefully somebody will cut me off soon. Um, but I agree, John, like it's completely different now than it was when we first started the Dorks thing, because now we're the ones working it or running it or managing or we're in a lot different roles than we were before, where we don't kind of get to engage with the community quite as much.
Yeah. I'm just not sure. I don't like I know that my finger isn't on the pulse of all that the same way it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago when we were not that we birthed it, but we were amidst the birthing of that. We were certainly a big part of it, but not that the four of us were the only ones running that. There was a whole bunch of other people around us, but kind of. So I don't have like as big a sense of the state of that community now because I'm just inundated with stuff that's so new. But I do think, man, I do think that we've got to get back to at those conferences and talking more about these creative solutions and things that people are doing that are outside of AI and tech and all. Like it used to be a big thing we talked about, very like crafty innovations and I think a while ago the cool part about it and the reason that we had such a growing community was people were really in the trenches, like solving these problems together and like doing things. And I just think now the pace of our industry is insane. That's probably a lot of reason why things like mentorship and that community and communication are generally some of the first things to go when the pace is kind of out running the speed you can give.
Doorcasts, like it's been harder and harder.
Right, sure. Prime example. We're not immune to it, right? But I think the other part of it too is that with AI and all this experimentation that people are like, I don't think people are really solving problems together anymore. They're just firing up a chatbot and like whipping up some fragmented thing that they're gonna. It's really odd, and I think every now and then there's like cool things that come from it, but I'm not convinced that it's like solving the kind of problems that we were before. The problem is, I don't know if people are given the time though. So that is another thing that if AI is anything, it is fast and convenient. Is it effective? Jury's out. But believe me, I will not argue that it is convenient and fast.
It did a really good job for me this weekend. I threw in some ingredients I had, and it found me a refreshing cocktail.
Right.
Yep.
But there is a true difference between like going to like one of those events where you argue with somebody about having the right answer. Like I can remember walking in and arguing for 3 hours about whether you should put the sticker on the bottom of the hanger, or how many different carrier banks have I argued with somebody over what's the best. There's no way an AI is going to decide what's the best. We couldn't decide what was the best. And what was the best wasn't even the best next year. It was just different. So I feel like we miss, like you said, I felt like actually there was a tone for me, and this could be because of my like the position that I took, there was a change in tone from talking about how technology can help us with the problem, but the focus is still the problem, but to how cool the technology was. And I'm like, why? I don't even care that it's cool. Yeah. Like it's not cool unless it can fix.
And I'm like,
yeah. Can you help me with the slope of pipe and rivet? Cause it's kind of still a pain in the ass. It isn't now. It's kind of bad. But like there's modern pains in the asses in Reddit.
Your sticker comment had me just, and maybe one of those, things that make you go, if anybody remembers any of that. I still see the same level of passion and nerdiness when I go to fabrication conferences, when I go to Sean's MCA Fab conference, when I go to our Fab Forum. Have we gotten so, I don't even know how to say this. Like you were talking about people in the weeds before in the tech, like have we just gotten so heads down in doing the tech work now that we're not, like those folks in the fab shops are still nerding out. They're still looking. Everybody still takes. We can be explicit again, right? They're still taking pictures of fucking carts. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's still the
But I'll-
real highlight of most of
I'm
this
still
match is
taking
that-
pictures of cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
We just
I
don't
think-
get
I
to
think
build
AI
them, which sucks.
I think AI took their airwave, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
it did.
I'm going to make a challenge here that it's not actually AI filled a void is what I would rather look at it as, because I'm watching these folks make very similar mistakes to ones we made early on in this process. But unfortunately, we're at an all-time low of educated people. And I mean, when I say educated, I mean educated in the industry and means and
AI will
methods
really
and the
help with
way.
that. I mean,
Well, no, educated in means and methods in the way it works to build things, right? Like I'm one that doesn't have those means and methods and those way of building things, but I have a respect for the way that it is done, and I've watched the gap grow, and that gap has grown so much that this new gen doesn't have. We don't have the time to create the mentorship to do the things, and when you've got something bleeding and you don't have stitches, you put a Band-Aid on it and hope it holds it. And I think that's kind of where we're at in some cases, and not really addressing a core issue of that exact problem, the knowledge of how to do these things. And so, and also, I'll be honest, so many of us are running at full bore, i.e. the Dorks not putting out episodes. I mean, each one of us has had a conversation offline about just how fast we're running. I'm watching this next generation of construction tech forward people make the similar mistakes that we made. And every time I sit down with somebody, I hope to give them a little bit of the look of my mistakes and the mistakes I've watched. But we're really not doing a good job because we're running so fast. I'm not blaming that on us. I'm just saying that we are at such a pace right now. We're not just running into the wall. We're trying to run straight through it, and it's not going to work. And I agree.
Well, like,
but I want to give a little credit that I just didn't want it to be about this next group coming in that just believes all the things. I just think they're using what they've got.
dude, I think they're solving some really cool stuff though. Like I've been shown up constantly by them, which is kind of annoying. But like I keep going in there and going, we couldn't figure that out, and then somebody would be like, no, here, and I'll be like, damn it, we worked on that for like freaking 2 years, and it's like, well, you couldn't nest data, and it's like, we couldn't, and that's our excuse, and we're sticking to it. But like I feel like the biggest thing that I took away from all the interviews I'm doing, like all the intro talks mostly, is the problems haven't changed significantly. Like the problems and even the stories of the innovators seem to still ring the same basics. Like there's almost the own little hero's journey of the innovator within the organization that sounds the same. It's like, oh, well, I didn't get great grades in school, but then I came in and I started doing VDC, and then I realized that I was really into technology, and then I started just optimizing everywhere where I worked until they started just moving me around the office, and I optimized everything. Like I've heard that story like 400 times, and that's how we get awesome solutions. But like the piece that's missing is then I met a whole bunch of other people that did that too. And they gave me 5 answers so that I could lie down and rest for a little while, because I just used their answers than having to figure it out myself. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we do a bad job of getting the information out to the people that we have figured out. At least, I don't even mean the right information. I mean, just like where we flat out ran into a wall and got hurt, I feel like we don't always get that piece out. Travis, I do think I have watched you talk a bunch of times, and I think actually that you do a good job when you do talk of kind of hitting all the nosebleeds first, just to make sure that no one actually has to suffer those again. But what do you think? Like, do you think that that's sort of the case? Like, do you think that next generation is literally having to relive everything just because we're not writing anything down and passing it on?
Well, I do think it's part of it, and I do think that, I think that you're right to kind of call out the community, because we did have ourselves, and we had our friends to bounce things around on, and I think that a lot of, and there's a whole social commentary about what COVID did to us and our kids and stuff that'll be written for 50 years from now. So maybe there is a new generation of these dorks out there that are quietly solving problems within their own company, be moving around and just not and I don't know, maybe this is me going on a limb here, but maybe it's because just the transition from merely Googling to chatbots, right? Because when I use a chatbot, if I'm doing some research for something that I'm writing or a presentation or something, I go verify the sources. It's different than when I was Googling for an answer, right? The chatbot, if I'm using the chatbot for whatever I'm using for, I'm asking a question, I get an answer. I'll do a quick cursory glance to make sure at least the data is right. But I'm not always digging into it and finding the person that made the initial um, whatever post or whatever that seeded the answer that I end up using. I think that wow, I'm really just kind of rambling through my thought now because it kind of hit me there. It's like that. Like I would go to Substack, I would go to Medium, I would go to XYZ, and I would find the website and probably eventually reach out to the person and try to talk to him and or oh hey, that's Jonathan Marsh. I read his article on this thing and this thing. And that's I want to talk to him after his presentation. I don't know if the way that we're surfacing our information is giving us that same kind of tie into someone we can actually turn to.
I felt that
And
too. Like I reach out to Darren every once in a while. It's like I don't want a chatbot. I know a chatbot can go through your website. I have zero interest. I just want to talk to Darren. I have a question. Or there's a ton of people like that. I like that used to be it. You knew which person, not which chatbot to talk to, and I think that's still a better way to be.
well, that's critical too, because there's times at which, like, between the time that information became out there in an article and then you're putting it into practice, that's like totally different. You're like, oh yeah, I mean, at the time that's what it was, but we've had to adjust this, we've had to make this change, we've had to do these things. Like, that's how it morphed. And when you're doing it, you're gonna have to, that's where you get the human to tell you, like, you're gonna have to think about these things along the way. And you're right, it is skipping that connection. And that's, the value of us is the collective intelligence, right? It's not, that's the beauty of that AEC Integration Summit, the CPC, is the sum of our parts, right? We're greater than the sum of our parts together. And the chatbot never argues with you. I mean, I guess you could set it up. John, you probably have one that does. But like a good old fashioned rumble is really important. And I actually think that the AI itself and the way that it's creating behavior, is what I'll call it, is really pushing us away from it. And as somebody who, like, I'm not good at confrontation in general, like, it's not in my nature, and I struggle enough, and AI really keeps me away from it. And that's really not a good thing.
Right.
Right? You need friction.
I think that's one of the best arguments. What you guys, that whole talk track just makes sense. And I think that might be a lot of it. I think it's just, we're not hearing from as many people because of the basically the breakdown of communication that society's kind of taken part of. And again, like the prompting the chatbot, there's kind of like infinite accessibility to information, but I'm not sure it's getting that discourse. Like, it's not getting that, we're not like iterating on the information because that whole communication loop isn't there anymore. So because we're not hearing from all these people doing really cool things, we're also not doing really good, like, comparisons of the cool things, So, yeah, there's a little bit of a breakdown there. I mean, like I said, very convenient, very fast. I just don't.
Well, and I don't want to throw it all at the feet of AI and say that that's the only problem. I don't know about you guys, but I used to kind of scroll LinkedIn infinitely looking for articles and ideas, and I haven't done that quite as much anymore. Some of it is just kind of a general disdain of social media on my part. So, I mean, that's part of my own problem there.
Man, LinkedIn has gotten so bad. Oh, jeez.
I mean, that could be a whole nother topic. It their algorithm, we've been trying to keep up with it and talk about it, and it's effed. I'm going to be straight up. Like, as somebody, by the way, who makes a lot of connections, uses it a lot for what I hope is a symbiotic relationship with the world, right? I hope that the people I record on the other show and on this show and the articles that I post and the conversations that I have are meant to spark conversation, to generate ideas. And I'm with you. I tried to do this whole thing this year. At the beginning of the year, I kind of posted less is more. Like, I want to do less posting and do more value. And I feel like the algorithm's been like, well, Jeff, you're done. Right? Like, I got the friends. And I'm like, but what, I mean, what do you do? Right? Because I'm with you, Travis. I didn't doom scroll it. Like, I honestly doom scroll it now for a nugget, looking for a nugget, a needle in a haystack. And I used to scroll it and I couldn't get 3 down. And I had John posting an article on a Substack somewhere that, like, an hour and a half later, I was texting him like, you suck because I just lost an hour and a half to researching this right now. But by the way, I also learned something.
You know what I think is interesting is when I'm looking at the small communities that are coming up, they're not using an algorithm. They're remaining small enough that you don't need it. You need an algorithm when there's too many people talking.
True.
Too many people talking, they insert somebody who's a moderator, and the moderator decides who's important, who's not important. You know, you have a small community, everybody gets a chance to talk. And I think, you know, you hit it on the head. There's a small community of people that really want to solve this problem. They're not trying to sell you anything. They have a problem. They're trying to solve it. They are open to new solutions. And like Discords and Slacks and messaging and like all of those, I think that's just where it's going to have to go, because if the algorithm always serves you down, then maybe your problem's the algorithm. You know what I mean? Like maybe
get a Dorks mastodon.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I'll put the server in my house here, and we'll run a mastodon.
You're just going to use it to mine Bitcoin. Don't.
I think those days are behind me.
Don't challenge him with a good time, Travis.
Well,
hey, who's laughing now?
You should be, my friend. One. You should be.
The BIM and Beer one now has a contact forum, and there's 200. I'm looking at 267 people in it, but it's still not super active either. People ask a question when they had it, right? But it's not like a lot of conversation that's going on anymore.
But that's what ExtraCAD was in everything else. You had like 900 members and 300 people that talked all the time. And those 300 people realized that the way you get answers to your questions is you give other people answers. And you know, like,
and if you don't provide value to the community, you get kicked out.
Yeah, man. Like, and that was, you knew that, like, when you joined a community, you're like, okay, so if I see an answer, I'm going to put an answer. You know, if I see a question, I'm going to put an answer to it. I do think it's cool that, like, some of that is sort of, you know, is popping back up. Or I'm just going to say it, I probably just missed it. It was probably always there, and I just got out of touch, which happens so easily when you're in tech.
It's hard to know, because I haven't really been seeking it out lately either. So it's kind of, you know, maybe that's.
Trent, from your perspective, because you went into like full-blown software and they started getting more rounds of funding right away. How does your view of like what the community has changed when you go to shows? You have to go to shows as a representative of that software now. You have to like work during the show. Like, you're not going to classes even necessarily, but you are. Like, how did it change for you, like being a part of that community when you started to make that transition?
Yeah, I think just naturally, it's no mystery to that it went from being all the things that we talked about, where you're kind of in the problem solving trenches with a bunch of people, and you're, you know, you're seeking people out and conversing with them and kind of like thought sharing and idea farming, to, you know, when you're part of software and the, you know, the goal is to promote what you represent, then I mean that the mission just kind of changes naturally because of that. So it's it's more commercial. So there's not as much time spent in that world. One, because of the time you have to put into representing your product and seeking conversations around that. But two, like I'm not curiously hunting to solve the same problems anymore, right? I mean, the the old Trent in me wants to know the answers just for the sake of wanting to fucking know everything, right? Like the little, but it's not part of your it's just not part of your life at that time. So it's just not how you spend your time. So it certainly changes.
I gotta wonder, like at some level, I thought when I moved from contractors, just that I would actually, and some of it's worked, where I got a chance to see everybody else's shop and see how everybody else is doing it, and kind of like get that sort of view of the whole community. But the problem is you separate from it, so you're not doing the work anymore. So like you're not sure where the real pain points are. They're just what you kind of like guess. Like I guess this is your pain point, or I guess that's your pain point. And I feel like even at the events that we have, like when we were talking about great events for community, I thought MEP Force was one of the best. And the reason was it was all classes and they were all super deep. Like if you went to MEP Force, guess what? You got to learn how to label. I know it was fascinating. Everybody was there to learn how to label. We were all like, we were at the edge of our seats with how can we auto label an entire drawing in 15 seconds. But that was a real problem that we all had, that like that thing was willing to be boring enough to address. Like I'm willing to address what you actually have as problems versus what's sexy and will sell this product. And I do miss that. I feel like I kind of I would still love to do a couple buildings every year, just to do a couple buildings every year. Until
Man.
I start doing them, and then I don't want to do them anymore because
Yeah,
it's better than BIM.
I mean, I think that's the nature of it a lot of time. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like I kind of want to go build a building. Some days I'm just like, man, like that was like, but it's easy for me to kind of wrap my head around like all of the parts of that were fun and what I enjoyed and
I mean, I think that we might be
a decade of,
romanticizing it a little bit too, right? Like that.
exactly.
We're
But then
definitely romanticizing it.
when you're after doing one or two of them, you're probably right back to the okay. Now I kind of remember why I was looking for something else too. I think there is a lot of that, but I do find myself like doing like little plumbing projects in the village, in the neighborhood here on weekends and stuff like that too, just to like, I think that's part of just keeping your craft, like trying to nostalgia is a powerful drug a lot of times. So
well, there's a phenomenon there too, right? As humans perspective, we are actually programmed to look back into the past and forget the worst of the worst situation and glass over and look for the good part. So like I remember this happening during COVID and after COVID, and like a year or so later thinking like having a conversation with somebody, oh, you remember when, COVID first hit and like the world shut down and we were sitting on our porches and we were having a cocktail and there, I don't know if you guys did this, but there was like this whole howling at the sunset or at a certain time of night. Like it started in New York City, but we were doing it here. And I was like, do you remember how peaceful that was? And then a friend of mine was like, wow, okay, this is a psychological problem that we have where we forget. Because Jeff, what were you really thinking about? Like, was I going to have a job? Was the world going to collapse? Was everybody I know going to get sick, etc.? Like all the things that were really going on. But what does my brain remember? It remembers the good part. That's kind of the way nostalgia works, because you're kind of supposed to, because our bodies are in fight and flight. We're in so much stress response that we couldn't, if we actually looked at the world as fucking dangerous as it is all the time and looked back at it that way, like you'd collapse. Because really, I mean, if you think about it, as a caveman is what we are, this world we live in, like everything's a danger. The roof's going to fall. That's going to fall. Like you don't lay in your bed and worry about if the bed's going to fall through the floor, but cavemen did.
You don't know me. I might.
You don't know me. You don't know what I anxiety about.
You don't know me.
My anxiety is way tougher than yours. Like we were talking earlier, and I said that of everybody, I think you do more journalism about the industry than anyone I know. Like actual journalism, because we have some people that report on the industry, but what they really do is they have a topic they want to talk about. They call up somebody, and then they do an article. Where you kind of have been talking to everybody in the industry for decades, and it in across a spectrum, honestly, that I don't think a lot of other people talk. So like what have you seen as that sort of generation switched over and as the communities changed? Because I do see a little bit of this whole, like, we're not allowing enough people in via age groups. Like I'm like looking around my communities and going, y'all have gray hair, and this is bothering me just slightly. But what have you seen, man?
I would agree. And I love that we had that conversation. Like I have to say, identifying yourself in this environment is interesting as somebody like me who comes, like I can focus on the IT thing and the Iron Man of IT thing and have that as a background, right? But what have I morphed into? Like I never did BIM and VDC. I understand the technologies that help BIM and VDC, but I didn't do it, right? And I've seen a lot of the technology in all the spaces grow. But that journalism thing really hit me, Jonathan, and I would call it a journalism. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of a historian.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many people I've had to tell, like, that the story of PlanGrid. Have you guys heard the story of PlanGrid and like what the problem was and where it came from? And people are blown away. And it's like, well, we were lucky enough at the crew to have met Tracy and met Ralph and talked to them early on. And the story is true. She was of a smaller stature as a human and could not slip sheet the physical paper into a drawing set without the help of a man. And it really pissed her off, in all honesty, and made her job really hard. And she couldn't tour the site and look at the documents at the same time. And she's like, this is just wrong. And luckily, at the time, her husband, Ralph, was a coder and worked in iOS and understood modern applications and mobility and said, I think we can solve this. It's a real problem. Bang, PlanGrid was born. It was born out of a real problem. And I get to be the historian around that part and then the journalist around, I don't know where the world's going to go. And I get to really have incredible conversations with people, and a lot of them go nowhere. And because those companies go nowhere. Can you imagine? Like, that's the other thing. You look at PlanGrid, I get to call PlanGrid out, but for every PlanGrid, there's an insert name here. I'm not going to call any of them out because I'm not that.
Or 8 of them, right? I mean, it's like
8 of them. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I mean. There's there's 9 for every one, right? Statistically speaking. So, John, to your point, like, I think the one thing for me, and I'm seeing this really pop back up right now, and I want to put a warning out there. Like, I don't know how to do this other than to just say it. But as somebody who's boomeranged around from industry to technology, I haven't really done back to industry in construction, but I did that before. So in my previous careers, I was in the ski resort business, and then I was in technology, and then I was back into a business, and then I was back into technology, and then I was into the masonry organization, and then I came into technology. It seems very glamorous when you're sitting out there at the masonry contractor and you're working on whatever technology it is you're working on and you're fixing whatever it is, and to think, I'm smarter than the rest of the world. I know how this is, and I'm going to jump over to the technology space and I am going to take over the world. And we all know how that one goes. I'm going to be real honest. And I'm watching a lot of people make that mistake. And, you know, Travis, we have a buddy who coined a phrase that I really like to talk about too at this point in time, because I think it's an inflection point for the industry, is innovation theater. It's innovation for marketing purposes. And that's coming from the contractor side. How many of us have gone to a contractor that's the most forward-thinking thing in the world? They're on every goddamn website of every new startup. Before AI, it was .builds, just so you know, like .ai's, .builds. They historically, they're there. They rhyme with one another. The grass is not greener. It is a grind. It's interesting. So, I mean, I hate to call Trent out because Trent and I have done it, and, you know, John, you've done it, but it's not all glitz and glamour, and you think it is when you go to the other side. I don't think enough of us have real conversations about it.
I don't think it's wise for people to look at getting into something like that because it's glit and glam. I think if you're going after it for that reason, you're going to be very, very disappointed. You should do it to try and solve a problem. Very similar to what you would do, you know, even just in the construction industry or whatever job you have there. But you should treat it that way. It's just different. The business is different. You've got to figure that out. Yeah, I mean, it's a grind. It's, you know, it's more remote. You have to be creatively collaborative. You have to find ways to inject yourself into like other locations around customers and prospects, and you know, intentionally travel, intentionally talk. It's tough, and if you don't do all those things, it'll be very lonely. It'll be very hard. It's
and maybe I should be a little bit more frank and clear. When you're on the other side, on the contractor side, they love to blow smoke up your ass and get a big head. And it is very different on the other side. And I don't know how to make that any clearer, guys. Like, I really don't. And I think that's a problem of both sides. I'm not pointing a finger, but I've watched a lot of inflated ego, and ego is a muscle, and just add attention and watch it grow out of control. And I've watched this quite a bit recently. And I kind of went on a rant with a friend who's been around a long time, who said, Jeff, I had to tell you to check yourself at one point, because when we first started the crew and we were traveling, like, we were little we call micro celebrities or rock stars in the place. And like, that went to your head real quick if you weren't careful. But I was lucky. I had people around me who were good enough to who knew it was coming. By the way, that was the thing, is they knew it was coming. They'd already been through it. And they were like, yo, that's just the way it works. Be ready. And you're smiling, John, because you know who it is. And they tell you to check yourself. And I just don't know that that's going on right now. I don't know if it is or it isn't, but it's a matter of like, yeah, you got to be careful with it. I don't know how else to say it.
But
like,
that's on us again, though, isn't it? Like, we should be the check valves. We're supposed to be the. That's why came with the gray hair. Was gray hair plus you are now the check valve for the next generation. You know what I'm saying?
That's been the most enjoyable part of the Dorks, what we've done. And I mean, this is the first recording we've done in a long time. And obviously, like we said, the pace of everything and the directions we've gone have kind of made this into like way, way, way hobby, right? Like very, very hard to get to hobby. But the part of it that's been enjoyable, and I never would have recorded past episode 1 if it wasn't us just being able to be authentic. And like, it's not like I've never once stepped in front of this microphone afraid to say whatever the fuck I've wanted to say. And I think everybody knows that, right? And I think that's just, and Travis and I joke all the time about we'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post. For those of you that listen, we ain't fixing shit in post. It's not gonna happen. So I mean, that's the deal. It's I don't know, like that. To me, it was just always conversation with your boys, with your gals, with your that's all it ever was. So and I think when people don't do that, you can see through it. I mean, it's I mean, look at, we're not the only, how many millions of podcasts are out there? How many of them are just somebody trying to sell you something, trying to tell you some bullshit? I mean, I just never wanted to do that. Yeah. Also why we've made $0 doing any of this, but it wasn't about that. That wasn't the reason.
Yeah, negative money.
I was going to say, we have lost money on this.
But again, not the motivation.
No, but it was funny though, because like John, I remember you saying for the first time, like somebody came up and it was recognized you and was like, "Wait a minute, aren't you that?" And you're like, "Wow, people listen." That is a weird experience.
It's so weird.
There's more than you realize, and it happens a lot. Yeah, it's that's
do you guys feel like
at times, but.
Do you guys feel like the problem is though that they don't really want it? Like they don't come up and have a. I actually do apologize to whoever I forgot at MEP Innovation Lab. Some dude walked up to me, and I literally thought he was Chris. He was not Chris, and he walked away, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, damn, I know who you are, but I don't know who you. Can't remember your name offhand. But like I feel like having fans was actually problematic because less people wanted to talk to you, and like when you gave them an answer, they didn't push back. I didn't get the pushback. Like that was the whole point, is we're not sure if we're right. We need to tell you stuff, and then you need to push back and say, no, you're full of shit.
Right.
I figured out how to do it.
Not investment advice.
Trent, this is not investment advice. We really need a disclaimer. Blah, blah, blah. If you have a problem, call 1-800-Gamblers Anonymous or whatever it is. Right. I don't know, something like that.
Don't call me because I'll tell you shouldn't listen to me. So
yeah. But honestly, John, you're right. Like that has been a unique privilege and an interesting conundrum over the years of doing this as long as I have done it. And it was cool to have this conversation with someone. What we do, so you guys realize, like what we do, the four of us here and what I do over at the crew is one of the most intimate mediums there are on the planet, because this is not consumed usually with a group of people. This is usually consumed by an individual doing something else. They're mowing their lawn. They're driving their car on their commute. They're on a bike ride. They're doing whatever, and we're speaking in their ear. And they're having a relationship with us. I like when you said journalist, John, originally, like that really triggered something for me in my mind of thought of like, wow, I do have to approach it that way because I have to on the other show, on the crew. I get to be me here, and like, not that I'm not myself on the crew, but the crew is about journalism, right? It is about understanding, and I don't push any of those products. I try to do my best to explain the problems and let those people do their thing and et cetera. And it's really important. And by the way, super valuable to me as a human. I love that part, right? Like the knowledge that you get from doing that is awesome. But over here, like we get to be our authentic selves and have this conversation, but that creates a weirdness where they already know us. How many of you have had, they're 5 steps ahead of you when you have that conversation?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, everybody's usually 5 steps ahead of me in any conversation.
So now they're 10, Trent. I mean, right. But it's a privilege, guys. It really is. And I'm glad we got back together on the Dorkiversary. And like somehow, by the way, getting the 4 of us schedules together, for all of you out there having scheduling issues, like we get it. Gosh, this world is a pain in the ass. And we need to be together more. I mean, honestly, I would do an MVP Innovations every month and just switch out who goes just so I could be around those folks. Because Travis, you're right. AC Integration Summit is where the dork thing happens. But the MEP Innovations feels like my dorks, our dorks, right? So I want to say, let's do 6 more. 6 more. Can we get to 7 this year, guys? Can I get an amen to 7?
Amen.
For the year.
I think we could do that.
Amen.
Yeah.
We'll do 7.
And this has been episode 101, the Dorkiversary. Just 7 more.
7 more.